know what's so good about being a warrior of the social justice disposition? No? Well, today's your lucky day because Jax Nation is about to fucking tell you. Welcome to the show, by the way. The beautiful thing about being a social justice warrior is that basically any action is justified, even violence, because, well, you are just right by default. Are you a social justice warrior who wants to prevent a dangerous faggot from speaking at your university? Well, good news. All you gotta do is start a violent riot. Pepper spray unexpected bystanders, set fire to shit, and beat people up until the point where they're fucking unconscious. Because that resonates really well with, you know, the people around you. Lovely, don't you think? There is this word for when you use violence and force and intimidation in order to silence people you disagree with. What's that called? That's right, fascism. You know, I could go on and on about how, oh, you know, we gotta support freedom of speech, and, oh, you gotta let him talk, even though you don't like him, but you already know that shit. So instead I'm gonna focus on the beautiful irony of this whole thing. These retarded little cunts are trying so hard to silence Milo, who I for the record think is a bit of a piece of shit. He's entertaining and all, but still a piece of shit, and I disagree with virtually everything he says, but, you know, still. They're trying so hard to silence him, and yet they are making it easier for him to spread his message. They are actively giving him a much bigger platform. You know, you could just let him speak and say the stupid things that he does in front of like 250 people in a fucking high school or university cafeteria. Or you can do what you do now and allow him to sell hundreds of thousands of books and go on fucking national television and spread his message to the entire fucking country, because that just gotta be better, right? Good fucking job. Retards! And while we're on the subject, the last week I think it was, the Women's March took place, mainly in Washington. I think it was 500,000 women who marched on Washington to protest something. I'm not entirely sure, because between the insane bomb threats from washed-up singers and incoherent speeches from Hollywood actresses and people dressed like vaginas, there didn't seem to really be a clear message with this whole thing. So I wanted to give a couple of pointers to the people of the Women's March. And pointer number one is, make sure you have a clear message. You want to be able to answer these 3 questions in order to make a better march. Number 1, what is our message? Number 2, how is our message going to resonate with our target audience? And number 3, who is our target audience? Because as far as I'm concerned, everything about the Women's March was all about unity. You didn't really do anything to reach out to potential allies. And that might be like a key thing if you want to further change. I'm just trying to help out here. Pointer number 2, you may want to try and make sure that the organizers of a march revolving around women's rights doesn't support Sharia. This is Linda Sarsour, who has spent a considerable amount of time on Twitter advocating for Sharia law when she's not, you know, organizing women's rights protests. I'm not sure how you do not understand the irony of that. Allow me to read a couple of Linda's tweets. Sharia law is reasonable, and once you read into the details, it makes a lot of sense. People just know the basics. You mean like, the punishment for theft is amputation of your hand, the punishment for apostasy out of Islam is death, women are not capable of testifying against alleged rapists in courts, but they need 4 individual neutral witnesses to confirm that he was actually raped. Women are not allowed to drive, women are not actually allowed to own property. I think they are actually allowed to own property, but in court cases, in property cases, their testimony carries half the weight of a man's. If those are the basics, I really don't want to know, I don't want to know the advanced shit. 10 weeks of paid maternity leave in Saudi Arabia. Yes, paid. And you're worrying about women driving? Puts us to shame. Yeah, I mean, never mind the thing about the not being able to testify against your rapists and you know, because you get paid maternity leave. So if a rapist knocks you up, well, at least you know the government's gonna be there to give you money when you give birth to the rape child. Fucking awesome. You'll know when you're living under Sharia law if suddenly all your loans and credit cards become interest-free. Sound nice, doesn't it? This woman she was one of the organizers of the Women's March. You may want to look into that. You may want to look into your organizers and make sure they don't hold views that are entirely antithetical to any kind of feminism and gender equality and liberalist. You may want to look into that. Number 3, you may want to do a background check on your featured speakers and make sure none of them was ever convicted of kidnapping and murder. There is this lady called Donna Hilton who was a featured speaker in the Women's March, and she actually spent 27 years in prison for kidnapping and second-degree homicide. Now you may think that's, oh, you know, maybe that's not as bad as it sounds, but it's actually a lot worse than it sounds, because it was not like it was a freak accident where she just accidentally killed someone and was convicted of murder. No, she and a couple of friends actually kidnapped at that time 61-year-old Thomas Vigliorol. It's a weird name, but Vigliorol, and over the course of 15 to 20 days, tortured him to death. They beat him, starved him, burned him, squeezed his testicles with pliers, raped him, and sodomized him with a 3-foot steel rod, which Donna herself shoved up his rectum. And when she was being questioned by the police about that particular incident, her answer was, and this is a quote from Donna, "He was a homo anyway." I don't know, but I don't feel like that bitch is in any position to lecture me on equality and rights in any regard. This woman is considered a civil rights icon, and she is a remorseless, cold-blooded fucking murderer. Let that sink in. I think that may just be it for me today. I realized I didn't really do much about this video. I was just whining. Okay, actually I did give some advice to the Women's March. Number 1, the 3 points. Message, target group. How's it gonna resonate with the target group? Number 2, make sure the organizers of the Women's March do not support Sharia. And number 3, make sure the featured speakers are not monsters. Simple enough, right? And for the protesters in Berkeley, you're pieces of shit. Fuck off. I'm gonna go work out now to build up some fucking pecs so I can look like a man. Just thank you for visiting the Jax Nation. It would be fucking fantastic if you left a like and subscribe to my channel. I'm bad at ending videos. Piss off.